Hey everybody, this is Amanda Schmidt with Snappy New Day Art, and welcome. I teach people how to reinvent their off time by teaching them sweet and simple watercolor projects, and this is a perfect example of one of those projects. So this is a little bit of a taste of spring that I think we all desperately need. Some pretty little bright blooms that's really simple and doesn't take very much time. So this is a really great project if you are new to watercolor, or if you just have a little bit of time and you want to get some painting done. So either way, this is perfect. And yeah, let's get started. So let me try flipping my screens here. This is a whole new world for me, so I'm so excited, but I'm also like, I'm very like new to it. Oh, there I am. Hot diggity. Oh, I'm so excited. Yay. So now you guys can see what I'm seeing without me having to like crane my neck while I paint. I'm so stinking excited. Okay, so this is what we're doing. I'm going to kind of change up the colors this time around though. I think I'm going to do kind of a orangey color. So let me show you what I'm using. So this is my Very Messy palette. It's really cute. It's a little owl. My mom made it for me. Sandy Creek Studios. So if you want to find out how to get your own palette, you can just shoot me a little comment in the bottom. So say hi, guys. And I will send you her information, and you can get your own sweet little watercolor palette of your own. But anyway, I had some leftover liquid watercolor in this palette, and I didn't want to go to waste, so I was like, oh, I'm just going to use that. So that's one really great thing about watercolor, is that if it dries, it's not ruined. You just add more water and you can use it again. So it's kind of different than oils or acrylics. And I'm assuming oils. I've never used oils, but I know acrylics, like they dry super fast, and which can be a blessing, but once they're dry, you can't use them again. So if you accidentally like leave the cap off or something like that, you're kind of out of luck. So anyway, let me show you how I'm going to get started here. I'm going to trace the outside of this roll of tape. I'm using it as my circle. I'm just going to kind of lightly make some marks. I don't want them too dark because I want them to erase easily. And yeah, so I just want to kind of show where my circle is. As you can see, I kind of made dashes. So that's our circle. Let me show you what brush I'm using. I'm using a round brush. This one is a 12. Truth be told, I wish I had a size 10, but I don't at the moment. This is my nicer set of brushes. If you are just starting out, you don't feel like spending a lot of money on brushes, I hear ya, because this is another brush I really like to use that was like $3. It works, honestly, probably just as well as this one. But it is, yeah, like I said, it's in the only $3. It was in the acrylic section of the paintbrush aisle. And it works great. So don't let people tell you or make you feel like you have to spend all this money to get started with watercolor. That's not the case. You might change up what you buy as you go and get more experience, but there's nothing that says you have to spend a buku amount of bucks to start painting with watercolor. So, and this paper is, it's pre-cut in these fun sheets. This is like my favorite size to paint. It's Aqua Bee watercolor paper, and it actually is at Michael's. It's where I usually buy most of my paper unless I order online. 90% of the time I just stop by Michael's and get my paper there. This is one of my favorite papers that I recently found not too long ago, like a couple months ago. It's a really good paper, and I also like that it kind of comes pre-cut like that because I don't have to spend time cutting down a big sheet of paper. So It's a bonus. Quick and easy. So anyway, all right, let's get started with our pretty blooms. So as you can see, I put just a few. It doesn't have to be a ton, but I'm going to grab some of this orange, which is so pretty. And I'm not going to be, you know, I'm not going to be delicate with it. You can just kind of put the paint where you want it. These are flower shapes. They are not, you know, true, you know, life-like looking flowers. These are just, you know, a flowery shape that we're going to add some details to keep it whimsical and fun. I like whimsical little pieces. So basically I'm making blobs. Anyone can make a blob. You can make a blob. And this one I'm on right here, notice here's the line of my circle. I'm going to go over the line because I want to kind of have it peeking over the side. Okay, so you can add more water on top if you want. These, oh, I didn't show you what paint. So these are this is the brand of liquid watercolor I use. These are so much fun, really. And they are good if you are new to watercolor or not. So, I mean, these could be your first watercolors if you really wanted to. There's nothing, I don't think they're hard to use. I really don't. They're really fun. And the color is amazing. And I find that because it's liquid, if you want to practice color mixing, they do a really good job with that. So yeah, I really like them. So let's see. Let's start on our leaves. Okay, so I have my blobs of my orange. And now I have my green. I kind of mixed, this is going to be a super bright green. I kind of mixed a little bit of blue and green together to make kind of a tealish color. So when I do my leaves, this is what I like to do. So with your round brush, they're so versatile, which is partly why I love using a round brush. You have a tip and then you also have the fatter side. So it's really versatile. You can do all kinds of stuff with just a round brush. So if you are new to watercolor and you're like, what brushes do I get one or two round brushes, and that should honestly get you set for quite a long time. I honestly 90% of the time I'm using a round brush. And usually this is a size 12, like I said, but if you have like an 8 or 10 and that's what you buy, that's really perfect. Okay, so let me show you how I do my leaves. I use what I call point, push, pull. Okay, so I'm going to get my brush loaded with watercolor. And here's the thing, you don't want it dripping, and you don't want so much watercolor paint on the brush that it kind of blurps out and doesn't go where you want to. So what I like to do a lot of times is I'll load it up and then I will like touch my paper towel and just kind of get off a little bit of the excess. So I still have a point, and I'm going to, let's turn this. Let's do right here. So I'm going to point the tip of the brush to the paper. I'm going to push it down and then I'm going to pull. Okay. Ooh, that's cute. I like that color. You can kind of go over it a couple times if you want, and then I can repeat that. Okay. And you can also pull away from you. You can pull towards you or away from you, whatever feels best. And sometimes you kind of have to turn your paper a little bit to to kind of get into where you want your paint to go. Okay, let's see. So basically put your leaves wherever you want. Now this little guy that's peeking over the edge, I'm going to add some leaves also that peek over the edge. So point, push, pull. And I could do, maybe I'll do 3 there. Maybe I'll do Another one that goes over the edge. Okay, oops, my orange got mixed in there. I'm not too worried about that though. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to dry this, and I'll be right back. You don't have to, I'm going to be using a heat gun to dry it real fast. You don't have to do that. You could just let it dry, air dry, and be patient, unlike me. Or you could use a hair dryer, or you can also set it out in the sun. I've done that before too if I'm painting and it's a little bit warm outside, or I have a sunny, nice warm sunny spot. That helps too if you like set it outside in the sun. So let me dry this real fast and I'll be right back. Okay, so there we have our first layer of our blooms. So you could just leave this as it is and then move on to the next, or the last step of the black ink. But I like to usually go over with a kind of a second layer when I can, if I have the time. So I'm just going to get the same orangey color, or whatever color it is that you chose, and I'm going to load up my brush and then kind of just dab it in the same fashion that I did before. Just kind of add a little bit of interest, a little bit more depth. Kind of doesn't make it look as flat. Okay, and I'm using the very same shade, but because I'm layering it on top, it makes it look darker, like I'm adding almost a new color of paint, but I'm not. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to do the same thing for my leaves. And just kind of, I'm not going to completely duplicate the leaf. Just gonna kind of lightly go over. Okay, oh, I forgot one, I think. There. Okay, so now I'm gonna dry it for the last time. And here's where it's important to let it really dry because whether you're using pen or ink like I am, it really needs to be dry, otherwise the black ink will not show up. So I'm going to dry it real fast again, and then we'll move on to our last step. Okay, This is my favorite part. I love adding black line details to my watercolor. So let me show you a few different ways that you can do your blooms. These can be, you can do all the same kind of bloom. You can mix it up. But these are a few options you can do if you like. So first of all, I have a very little brush. As you can see, it's kind of like a teeny tiny round brush, kind of like the baby version of this one. Just for an FYI, I usually use my watercolor brushes strictly for watercolor paint, and I use whatever else for using like acrylic paint or calligraphy ink like we're doing here. Just because I sometimes forget to wash out my brushes really well. And if it's anything but watercolor, it will really ruin the brush. So I like to kind of keep my watercolor brushes as their only job is doing watercolor. So I have this little guy I use for acrylic and whatnot. And then I have just some black India ink, calligraphy ink, whatever you want to call it. You could use other colors if you wanted to. You can find India ink in lots and lots of colors. You can even, ooh, you could even do like metallic. That'd be cute. So, so yeah, any kind of ink, or you could use pen. It's up to you. Or if all you have is like Sharpie, that works too. So whatever you have. So here are some just little ways to do our blooms. So I like to sometimes start out with some dots, and then make my petals like that. Maybe throw in some lines here. You could go round all the way if you wanted to, kind of like a little, like pansy maybe. You could also just do a dot in the center and then go around like that. I'm going kind of fast, so they're not perfect, but you guys get the idea. You can do that. Okay, that's kind of like a zinnia or something like that. You can also do something that's sort of like carnation, so you can start in the center and just do kind of like smaller versions of those where you have like jagged edges on your flowers, and then go around and make them bigger. Da, da, da. Okay, so you can do whatever you want. You could do simple, like little swirly swirls. Those are fun too. Okay, so really whatever you like. Don't be afraid to mix them up or try something. If you are really apprehensive of going in with the black ink, you could go in with some pencil and just like lightly outline what you want to do. I usually just kind of go for it, but I get it. I know not many people are willing to just like wing it. I wing it all the time. Okay, so let's start over here. And I think I'm going to do this one. Let's do the big petals like that. And do not feel like you have to stay in where you had paint. You can totally go outside those lines. It is absolutely okay. That almost looks like hibiscus. I love it. Oh, I guess we could have done hibiscus too. Maybe I'll save that one for summer. We'll do a summer version. That would be super cute. Okay, so let's do our circles on this one. Can you guys see that? Sorry, My hand kind of gets in the way sometimes. I just kind of keep dipping my brush into the ink and making sure I don't have a ton of it. So I'll dip it and then I'll kind of brush off some of the excess on the edge here. If you were wondering what I was doing with that. Okay, so this, as I said, is in the beginning, is a really great project if you are new to watercolor or you just like this kind of like loose style, or you don't have a whole lot of time. Any of those, this is a perfect project. And I promise you, if you have not done watercolor before, don't be afraid because addictive, I have to tell you. It really, really is. When I do my watercolor workshops anymore, well, what would happen was people would like start asking for like my recommendations on what supplies to bring and and they were like, do you have any that I can buy? I'm like, oh no, I don't. But now I bring like some watercolor palettes that I feel like are good for starting out to my watercolor workshops because everybody always asks. And I tell you what, like the last time I had one, like everybody took one home. They were all newbies to watercolor. Newbies or they hadn't picked up watercolor in a really long time. So they were excited about it, and that's so exciting. I love it when people get excited about and they want to keep making painting and stuff like that. So yeah, it is addictive, and I just think it's just so. I mean, I do like painting with acrylic, but there are some, in my mind, there are some drawbacks to acrylic. Sometimes, you know, like I said before, you can't reuse the paint if it dries out. It requires like, you know, like I know for me anyway, and there's no rule that says I don't have to, but when I like to paint acrylic, I like to actually do it on canvas or wood or something, and that kind of costs money, you know. Now watercolor paper costs money too, but it's so much. Think about like just you can play on a piece of watercolor paper for like pennies. I mean, it's not very much. Now, if you have to go out and buy a canvas every time, I mean, you can reuse canvases too, but after a while, even those get kind of wonky. So I just think that watercolor is a really good kind of starter medium if you want to get started in some kind of artistic thing. So yeah, so here are all my flowers. Now let's go in and kind of add some detail to our leaves. It does not have to be, like I said, perfect. It doesn't have to stay on the paint part. So, oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to do my outline of my circle. So let's do that. Oops. Okay, and so when I'm doing like long brush strokes like that, you just kind of have to let the brush do the work. Don't force it. Make sure you have plenty of ink on your brush. Otherwise, makes it kind of hard. And you can just kind of go in little pieces here all the way around. And then when you get to the piece that's kind of peeking over the side, it is, you just leave it because it's poking out over the edge. So yeah, guys, we're all done. I I am so excited that you got to join me. If you want to do more of this kind of thing with me, be sure to join my Facebook group. It's called Art and Snap. You can just search for it, and it should be, I think it's the only one that's named that. Also send me a little comment, and I can add you to my email list. So if you join my email list, you're going to get all kinds of tips, tricks, and hacks, and I send out tutorials and really fun stuff. And I have some really fun announcements that I am sending out to my email list. And if you're on my email list, you might be able to get like special like discounts and stuff like that that you may not get if you see it like on Facebook. Only on my email list. Okay, so send me a message if you want to join the email list, and I will do that. And there you go. Have a happy almost spring day, and I'll see you later. See ya.